Let's move on to Tennessee at Ohio State. I mean, it's the 8 versus 9, so obviously, you'd think it'd be the closest matchup, but I think it's also, it's arguably two of the three best teams that are playing in the first round, however you want to view it. Ohio State, a lot of people are pretty high on them. Tennessee, they're a very quality team. They're better than the eighth and ninth team in the country, certainly. So great matchup at Ohio State. Last thing we saw from Ohio State was losing to Michigan at home. So big game for them. What are you expecting to see here?
I'm excited for this one, man. This is a unique matchup here. Both teams have just had damn good seasons, man. They're both 10-2. They have some impressive wins on their resume, with some disappointing losses as well. I view these teams very similar as far as their story, up until this point in the season. As far as key points of this game, what matchups are we looking at? Tennessee rushing the ball. They are one of the best in the country. They're top 10 in the country right now. They're rushing it like crazy. It's led by Dylan Sampson. He's got almost 1,500 rushing yards, almost 6 yards a carry, and 22 touchdowns. So, man, that guy is an effective running back. And flip side of the ball here, it's Ohio State. They're only allowing just under 3 yards a carry, which is top 5 in the country. So that's a huge matchup, man. Tennessee relies on the run. They run almost 60% of the time. If they can't establish the run, Ohio State's going to be able to handle this game very easily. So it's a strength versus a strength here in this matchup. And if you're Tennessee, especially going to Ohio State, the run game has to be, business as usual. They have to continue to put up almost 6 yards a carry and rely on it for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, so two top 5 defenses, right? Both defenses are absolutely phenomenal. Ohio State is the number one scoring defense in the country. They're really good. To me, I look at this and I go, can Tennessee replicate the Michigan plan? Can they do the same thing that Michigan did? Well, they have a dominant defensive line. They certainly do. They give up 2.9 yards per carry, like you said. Very good there. Can they control the line of scrimmage offensively? I think that's the thing I'm most interested to see, because Tennessee has that spread offense where they like to get 4 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers and a tight end and go way out wide and say, okay, you're going to have to take your corners and go way outside, and we'll make your linebacker go one-on-one with their running back and see if they can make an open field tackle. And if they can't, since everyone's spread out so wide, you can really absolutely gas people. So Ohio State hasn't necessarily seen an offense like that. I think the closest thing they probably saw was Oregon, but even that is very different. They still usually keep 1 or 2 tight ends on the line of scrimmage and really hammer it in the A gap when they are running like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that's going to be your key to the game, is Tennessee's O-line versus Ohio State's D-line.
Yeah, and that's for Tennessee to keep it close, in my opinion, because this Ohio State offense is pretty damn electric. They arguably have the best wide receiving trio in the country with Jeremiah Smith, McKay, and Tate. They have, combined almost over 2,000 receiving yards. Smith being, the best of those, that kind of stud true freshman. He's got almost 1,000 receiving yards and almost 10 touchdowns. So that is where Ohio State will win this game, is they have one of the best passing attacks in college football. Flip side of the ball, Tennessee, not too bad of a pass defense themselves. They're top 15 in passing yards allowed per game, only allowing about 180 passing yards, only 6 yards per attempt. And the pass rush is pretty damn good. They got James Pierce Jr. He's going to be, first round pick in the draft. He can get after the passer. They're averaging 2.5 sacks per game, which is solid. It's a solid pass rush collectively that should be able to disrupt Will Howard on the occasion, right? But if you're Ohio State, your run game's solid. You still got Judkins. You still got Henderson. That it's solid, and I think you can count on that to be fairly effective. But that's not where they win on offense. They win by Will Howard dishing it to his bevy of weapons. And so that is on the flip side of the ball where the key matchups are.
Yeah, can Tennessee's defense confuse Will Howard the same way that Michigan's defense did? If Will Howard has an off day, Ohio State is going to be in trouble. I mean, we've seen it before. If he starts throwing the ball around the yard a little too loose, or just can't hit his target for whatever reason, isn't recognizing coverages, whatever it may be, Ohio State can get themselves in some trouble because Tennessee's defense is good enough to really, not stop that ground game, but to be able to slow it down considerably. So that's definitely a concern when you're looking at how Michigan beat Ohio State. Can Tennessee replicate it in terms of that sense? Something that stands out to me, if you go to the red zone, Tennessee, 102nd in red zone scoring percentage in the country. That's bad. How's Ohio State's defense? They're number one. They only allow scores on 55% of red zone drives. So high levels of concern for Tennessee there. On the flip side of the coin, Ohio State's offense, nothing special. 88% red zone scoring percentage, number 41 in the country. Tennessee only allows 75%. That's number 13. So solid, but nowhere near the discrepancy that you see between Tennessee's offense and Ohio State's defense. So the thing to me is can Tennessee score those explosive plays? Because how many times have you seen that play action and whoever it is, Hendon Hooker, Nico Iamaleava, throwing it deep and you get a 50-yard touchdown pass? Can Tennessee break those off? I don't really think so, because Ohio State has played so much, keep everything underneath and make them dink it and dunk it all the way down the field. I think their defense is going to be disciplined enough. Like you said, they got Caleb Downs at safety. He's an absolute baller. I think they'll be able to game plan well enough to keep Tennessee's offense under control. I think Will Howard plays not phenomenal, but well enough to get it done. For that reason, I got Ohio State taking care of business on this one, 23-20.
Taking care of business is a 3-point game. That's a close game right there. I like Ohio State to cover in this one. I think they're too star-studded of a team. So the spread here is set at Ohio State is 7.5 points.
7.5.
Yeah, and I like them to cover this one. I think they win by 10 to 14 points here in this game. I think it's too star-studded of a team. I think they're more battle-tested. I like Tennessee's resume. I like that they beat Alabama, but it's an offense that it just doesn't scare me that much. They really haven't shown much of a passing attack that is scary. They can hit the occasional splash deep shot. And other than that, they really got to rely on the run game. Well, fortunately for Ohio State, they got a hell of a defensive line and one of the best, rush defenses in the country. So given that I view Tennessee's offense as more limited and Ohio State's defense to still be just as good, I think that's a big mismatch right there that goes in Ohio State's favor. So give me Ohio State to cover the 7.5 points and give me the under on 46.5 points. Two, kind of statistically top 5 defense is here. I think that's a fair amount of points for that one. But I just think Tennessee is really going to struggle to score. So, yeah, give me Ohio State.
Yep, I'm with you on the under, too, as well. I got my 23-20 prediction puts it at 43. I don't envision these offenses going nuclear. Now, of course, now that I've said that, they'll go out and play a 38-35 game naturally because that's how college football works. But
I'm here for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to go watch it, but I don't mind a defensive struggle. I might be weird for that, but I kind of like watching it. It doesn't bother me.